TOMz.
All you beautiful people, I'm TOMz, and welcome to another exciting episode of your favorite science and technology show, TOMz, SABC 1 TOMz for sure.
And for those who do not know us, I go by the name of Kerry, and this is Gamu. Namhlanje sabe sinifundisa kabanzi about the science of heat.
A very exciting show. Some South African fire dancers. Not only that, right here, TOMz, Africa.
So guys, what is heat? Where does it come from and how does it work? Namhlanje we're going to be discovering the science behind it, and also showing you guys some awesome cool technologies that are being used to harness and control heat.
So here are the highlights for today's show. With some fire dancing, a very tutor how this performance art works. It tutor all about heat. The heater khaleba di sebedisa for centuries. It should hold the electrical heaters tona di sebetsa jwang. Tsamali rona ha re tjhakela a manufacturing company ho bona hore di heater ba di etsa jwang. Go back in time with us as we discover the history of home heating. Ufumane the applications simonate for smartphones sa hao, and stay tuned for great tips and advice from Bachaki Barona.
What exactly is fire and how does it work? How do heaters work scientifically and how is fire made? Samira Saibuza, you guys, if you know the answers, check it out.
I don't know that much about the heat, but I know heat is something that we get warmth from.
You get heat from various places, from the sun, you get heat from a stove, you get heat from... It depends what you're trying to accomplish. Don't sentence question broad when you want to describe the heat.
Akekho umuntu angakhona ukuphila ekushiseni, and ukuze wena uphile, yes, you need heat for vitamin D.
First ever heater, it was the fire.
Well, honestly, I don't know.
I don't know when the first heater was used.
The first heat, we got it from Imbaula. Fire dancing, yes, I have. At the circus.
Yeah, in circus, only on TV, but not live.
Sometimes when you put parafini, I like to mention pepper.
They do these things, if I stick and then it's on different ends, and then they... Some kind of entertaining we're doing away, yeah.
How about the combustion material, oxygen, and thermal trigger? The scientists did the fire triangle.
When these three things interact with each other, they release heat, light, and smoke. Abantu have been fascinated about fire since the beginning of mankind, so no wonder these fire performances are so popular namhlanje.
A couple of fire dancers who work out their performance skills and the techniques.
Check this out, it's about to get hot in here.
My name is Colvin, and what we do here is we fire dancers and we self-proclaim. So what we did is, when we were younger, we messed around with the practice version of these poi, and we developed a skill quite quickly, and once we had someone notice that we had the skill, they showed us the fire version. We like this performance because it is new and unique, and we're quite good at it and enjoy doing it. We use Kevlar, and it's connected by metal chains with a grip. It then hangs, we dip that in paraffin, it soaks, and we light it. We swing it for the effect. Here's a typical version of what we use as a container. The grooves in here to hold the poi individual so that the different lengths don't get mixed up. Here, we have the grip, where we put our fingers in. Some people like to put their fingers in like that, but most of us use it like this. Here just is a keyring to prevent it from getting tangled too tightly. A chain to separate you from the flames and not burn. And then here is the Kevlar that is already dipped in paraffin. As you can see, there's some screws in here to hold it against the frame inside there. And this has been wrapped around tightly, and we dip it and soak it. For the first time you soak it for about 3 hours, and afterwards, ever since it's been burnt, it leaves a black mark after it touches your hands or your body. All right, and inside here we have our paraffin. We're going to show you most of our tricks, and this is just going to be a choreographed performance. We choreograph our own performances and do it ourselves. We're going to start it off slow, and we're going to try to synchronize our movements with the music, and then we're going to incorporate a lot of illusions with our work. and the fire. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off as a small group, and then we're gonna spread out ourselves and mirror each other in symmetrical form. And then from there, we're gonna move on into other formations with the music, using it as a cue. Okay, we've taken the safety precaution of obviously practicing without fire before we decided to move on to fire. We also have extinguisher, fire extinguisher with us, and we wet a towel so that we can throw it over anyone in case they light themselves on fire. Our hair, we normally dampen it, or we wear bandanas to protect it against the open flames. We perform for companies and corporations. We've performed for get back together parties, going away parties, and birthday parties. People enjoy fire dancing so much because they don't see it every single day, and it creates such an illusion and an atmosphere, like a fire in a room.
Hore o kgone ho hlalohanya heat, o tlamehile hore o hlalohanye the difference between thermal energy and heat. Liquids, solids, and gases are all made up of molecules. And the molecules tsena kaofela di contain thermal energy. Ha di molecules tsena di move around, ke mo di kgonang ho create heat. So, hona jwanong a re tsamaya re ithuta more about this. Heat is generated by the movement of tiny particles in one object or a substance. The faster these particles move, the more heat it generates. So kanawari heat is caused when thermal energy is transferred from one object to another. Heat will always flow from the hotter object to the colder one. If the molecules the hotter object will slow down while the molecules in the colder object will speed up until an equilibrium has been reached and the heat has been evenly distributed. The main source of heat mo lefatsheng e tswa ko the rays tsa letsatsi la rona. The natural fuels used to create heat include mashala, maplanka, and petroleum. Batho kgale ba ithuta ho control heat energy in order hore re kgone ho etsa dijo, re futhumatse, run engines, and make all kinds of awesome technologies.
What sorts of technologies can be used to control and use heat? And then we celebrate another SA legend, Konalago TOMz. Stay tuned.
Ithuta about electrical heaters le hore di sebetsa jwang, and join us as we visit a heater manufacturing company ho bona hore di heater ba di etsa ka tsela tse feng.
A warm welcome back to you guys tuning in to TOMz, Konalago SABC 1 Mzansi for show.
Kajako, we are definitely heating things up. Hari tuta the science of heat. Kajako ri tuta the science of thermal energy and heat. Really some fire dancers by South Africa. Ibil hapero lebonza hore di heat technologies, but it's wrong right here in South Africa.
Since mankind learned to create fire, abantu have been developing a lot of methods to harness and control heat. And in these technologies, we take them for granted. But how do they actually work, and who are the people who make these things?
These are some of the things we will be discovering today. So for hona jwanong a re bone hore le tshwaretse eng.
Let's go.
Ana kilo ipotsa hore di heater di sebetsa jwang. Learn about the science of electric heaters. Le tsamaile rona ha re tjhakela a South African company ho bona hore di heater ba di etsa jwang. Heater ke a common technology e sebediswang ke batho haholo ha ba batla ho futhumatsa matlo a bona ha ho bata. Empa le hona le di heater tse dingata tse di sa tshwaneng. Ebile e sebediswang haholo ke the electric convection heater. The electric heaters di sebedisa motlakase hore di kgone hore neletsa mofuthu, and most of them turn electric energy directly into heat using a heat element. A convection heater is powered by a heating element made from a material e bitswang the resistor. This resistor resists the flow of electricity. An electric current contains a huge amount of energy, and then energy gets turned into heat when it flows through the heating element. The convection heater sitting at the simply heat the air directly above, causing that warm air to rise, spread around the room, and heat up the colder air. Other heaters, the forced air convection heaters, speed up the process of warming the room by blowing out air over a heated coil with a fan to move the hot air out and into the room.
There are all sorts of heaters that are used in our homes namhlanje. But sifuna ukwazi about these awesome technologies ukuthi ziyenziwe kanjani. Samile siyovakashela a heater manufacturing company yala eMzansi for you guys to see for yourselves.
So take a look at this.
Let's go.
Hello, my name is Andre van der Walt. I'm the owner of Striking Energy. We South Africa's major manufacturer of infrared heaters. It's not new technology, it's about 15 years old. But it's only taking off now because of electricity prices. We're going to show you today how we manufacture the infrared heaters. A portion of them is outsourced. That means we make it in big factories, then it comes here, and then from here onwards we assemble and we send it out to the customers.
Ekamela muchafta. Umsebenzi wami lo into kanje ngiyabhora amabhodi. Le into kanje masenze heater asicala ngale nto levele. yiyo le bamba into kanje i-globes la for into kanje heater. Seza la msazokhombisa futhi kuna-globes elizongena la mase ngicedile ukwenza umsebenzi la ngibhora ngenzini. Okay, manje uqala ngokubhora. Lapho usebenza wenza on. Ngizobhorela wona abe-3. Libobotse kunale into e tlo tsena mo e tshwara cable for a re tsentsha globes ya mo. Okay, sesicedile manje ngistopa. Kana kwesinye la sikhona izinto esifanele sizifake la emasayitini zizokhona ukufasala ivalo la zala emasayitini. Kwamanje ngizokufaka le bolt la ezobamba i-side plate evala la. Thatha enye futhi sifake emasayitini oyi-2. Ngokuthi le ngine-side plate ezongena la so fanele siyifase le nto le yiyo ebamba la ngine-bolt ezibopha la nto luthi ukhona ukuvala la emasayitini. Kwamanje ngizobophelela le handle le ngizoyifaka la yiyo vele yenza ukuthi ihitara uma ufuna uyifasela ebondeni ukuphi la ufuna bese ngijiya kanje nemejara la ikwazi ukuba inemidleli bese ngiyifasa.
If you stand next to the fire and you feel the heat coming from the fire, and that is actually infrared heat. Now, the two benefits of infrared heat, it is instant. I can switch it on and I can switch it off, and I can focus it. It's like a light. It's exactly the same. It's a wavelength. So I can focus the heat into a certain direction. Now, to show you, it's off, no electricity is used. I switch it on, and it is immediately warm, and you can immediately feel it.
Igama lami uFrank, ngisebenza ukwenza ama-heater, ngizoconnect i-globe kwamanje sifake laphayana ebhodini sinikhombisa ukuthi ama-heater wakhona ashisa kanjani. I-globes lena ama-globes aspecial akekho lana e-South Africa, phuma lena phesheya. Umsebenzi wayo futhi ibamba ukufudumala yabona, yenza ukushisa uma indlini yakho ukubanda yabona. Yona kufanele uyivikele ungayibambi ngesandla lana because uma uyibambe ngesandla umoya izokushisa le imilo yakho izovela lana lapho uyibambe khona yabona. Izinto sezinqamula kanje. Ngijwayele kahle intambo zami lana emuva ke manje. Mona ngilungise kahle intambo zami ukuze ngizijwayele kahle sihambise umlilo. Bese sizobopha ngalezi zinto lezi. Manje sizozifaka emabhodini ke manje. Sifaka kanjena ebhodini. Bese sizoyivala ngapha ke emasayidini ke manje. Sizoyibopha emaceleni, siyifasa kanjena. Sizoyifaka emaceleni ke manje. Okay. Uma sesicedile uyifasa ngalena, siyifasa ngezinye futhi ezincane. Uma sesicedile sizifasile kahle emasayidini zonke zibuya kazi kanje. Angapha ngasemuva. Zibuya kanje. Sekuyihita ephelele manje.
Basically, you've got your lamp, that's the most critical. It's a tungsten halogen lamp. It's a high output of infrared. Then they've put real gold. What you see in there is real gold. That reduces the visible light, and it only lets the infrared heat go out. There's your reflector. That's basically to focus your heat going forward. And it's all in a nice stainless steel and aluminium body, meaning it can never rust, which is quite important, and you can use it in bathrooms as well. People realizing that this is the future of heating.
Many scientists and engineers have worked very hard to better our lives by creating cheaper and better technologies to assist us in our everyday lives. Do you guys know your SL agents? If not, let's go find out.
Nope, I really don't know any energy engineer in South Africa or Mzansi.
Eskom. Isn't Eskom one?
Siyabulela Xuza. He's got a planet named after him.
Usiyabulela Xuza is a South African energy engineer on a passion for harnessing the sun's power to create affordable energy. Kodwa he's especially interested in conducting research ukuthi ama-science anga-create kanjani ama-solar cells for solar technologies. Ubizwa nge-born inventor and waqala uku-experimenta ngama-rocket fuels ekhishini lakama wakhe, and his experiments soon turned into a serious project that led to the development of a cheaper and more affordable rocket fuel. I-project yakhe won gold at the National Science Expo ngo-2006 and was named the most prestigious project kulowo nyaka. Waqhubeka ukuwina amanye ama-awards overseas for his amazing project. What an amazing legend.
Let's get about our social session. Mo le kana la re sele di comment tsa lona ho Facebook or even tweet us and utsa bamang mhlomo tla be re tsotsa lona live on television. I mean, Coco, hello, you don't want to miss it. Ha re khutla re tlo bua ka the history of heating our homes. E be re le bontsha some awesome fire dancing and we le bontsha hape some cool fire safety applications. Stay tuned. TOMz. We are back again and we're now on social media TOMz right here on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure.
Hi, and I'm we are heating up the place as we discover the cool science of heat on today's episode. We are not only finding out how heat works, but we're also looking at some awesome cool heating technologies and finding out how they are made.
Kategori le bontse di fire dancers, the heating engineers le di legend tsa South Africa. Not only that, impanero le bontse gore lona le ka dula jwang le le safe ha re bua ka tsa heat and fire.
We've got social session coming up a little bit later on today's episode. So if you want to say hello, go on your phone now, tweet us on Twitter, and leave a comment on Facebook.
But first, join us as we turn back the clock to look at the history and development of heating technologies. But we'll want some more awesome fire dancing and get some cool applications for your smartphone.
Most of us take fire and heating technologies for granted, but our early ancestors had to figure out how to light fire and use it to heat their living spaces. Konamanje, let's turn back the clock to see how these technologies were developed.
Not long after man discovered umlilo, abantu bafunda ukakha ama-hearths. Remains of hearths have been found in the remains of Neanderthal homes dating back to 42,000 BC. Ama-Koreans nama-Roma bewasebenzisa i-underfloor heating system thousands of years ago. Ama-Roma bewasebenzisa a system of hypercasts which pumped heated air into open spaces beneath raised buildings. Ama-Koreans bewasebenzisa irradiant heating called ondol. A wood-burning furnace would pump umoya oshisayo through channels under the home to a chimney on the other side. During the 17th century, istovu sayenzwa and abantu baqala ukushisa inkuni namalahle to produce heat. A century later, the electric heater was invented.
Ready to see some awesome fire dancing? Well, re botse di fire dancers tsa rona gore ba re fe some safety tips. Hobane ha o sebetsa ka mollo, bophelo ba hao le safety ya hao e bohlokwa haholo. So take a look.
All right, some advice with working with fire is that it's extremely hot and you do not want to burn yourself. So make sure that you have parental supervision and you have the necessary precautions like some water nearby or a wet towel or even a fire extinguisher.
When dealing with fire in and outside your home, kubalulekile ukuthi uqaphele and know your fire safety rules. Ngoba umlilo can cause a lot of destruction and can be very dangerous. So mangabe ufuna ukuba fire safety smart, kungani ungatholi i-app efonini yakho. The CERT Fire Safety Training app is not only for firemen in training, kodwa for anyone ofuna ukwazi kabanzi nge-fire safety. The app includes topics like fire facts, the fire triangle, where you can learn about the chemistry of fire and the different types of fires, a list of hazards and hazardous materials, and tips ukuthi ungawasebenzisa kanjani ama-fire extinguishers, ungawasebenzisa kuphi nokuthi asebenza kanjani. So for more info, vakashele on our website www.tomz.co.za and follow the links.
So guys, katsakhona baphethu wesiniphathela social sessions khuluma nani via our social media ku Facebook na ku Twitter. Hitting it up on Twitter ngiphethe uThembi Otiena. She hopes all of her friends are watching TOMz so she can say hi to them all. Well guys, if umngani kaThembi ubukele TOMz, uThembi, hello.
And I have James on Facebook. Ufuna ukwazi how he can join a fire performance group and learn the art of fire dancing.
Okay.
Well, James, into ongayenza is go to our website, go to www.tomz.co.za and follow the links. Normal, you can Google any fire performance club or group in your area.
That's right. I've got Ukobi on Twitter saying he's our biggest fan and he never misses an episode of TOMz. And uhlala tshela abangani bakhe ukuthi babukele iTOMz. Yazi Nkobi-san, you rock. You're fresh like me.
Definitely. Kwamanje ke, listen up. It's time to listen to our guests while they give us some career tips and advice.
Let's go get it.
What is very important is whatever you do, do it your best. If you go and study, study. If you go and network with people and find out what is the best thing, do it at your best. Always learning. Life is a learning curve. Specifically on this type of products, you're looking at engineering, you're looking at electronics, and you're looking at optics, because this is all to do with reflection, etc. So those are the fields that you will typically be studying. But the most important thing is business savvy. There's a lot of courses from technicons, your universities. There's lots of community programs that can teach you how to become a successful business person. Rule number one, hard work. That's how you start a business, is by hard work. And I always say, think out of the box, or better, what box? There's opportunities all around you. You as a business person must focus in and must understand where's the gaps in the market, and then you go for that gap. And the last point is always improving. The reason why Mercedes is such a nice car is because they keep improving it. This product is my third one. There's a fourth one that will be even better. We've started this business as a small business, and at this stage we're growing. We're going into, for instance, supplying printers just with the lamps. We've got a whole new range now where we're actually going to design our own what we call flash dryers. So this all started with a small little heater, but because our eyes and ears are on the ground, I can identify the needs of my customers, and that will lead to different products. We're even going to roast coffee with infrared. We're busy designing those, which is a total different field. So it shows you if you start with a good quality product, it can grow into different kinds of businesses.
For more information on today's show, go onto our website at www.tomz.co.za. Keep on socializing with us on Twitter and on Facebook. But before we do anything else, let's recap today's episode.
Re bone some awesome fire dancing performances. Ebile ra ithuta ka di skills, the methods and the techniques tsa fire dancing. We discover the difference between thermal energy and heat. Le gore tsona di tlhakana jwang. The process of thermal energy transferring from one object to another is what causes a heat. Re buile ka the electric heaters le gore tsona di sebetsa jwang. Ra tshakela a heater manufacturing company ya hona mona mo Mzansi. Re celebrate le Siyabulela Xuza, a legendary South African energy engineer. We looked at the history and development of heating technologies. Ibile ra le bontsha some cool applications for the smartphone tsa lona. We also got some words of advice from our guests on today's show. So if you want more information, then check it out at www.tomz.co.za. And hey, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. And that's it from us guys. Next time as we continue to discover some more awesome and amazing science and technology.
From me, Gamu and D, we are out.
Next time on TOMz, the world of genetics. Learn all about genes and why we have them, see how a person's genes can be tested, and see some cool DNA experiments. Tune in to TOMz every Monday and Tuesday at 4 p.m. only here in SABC 1 Mzansi for sure.